Hello, I actually got my mic out for this one. Okay, first of all, I know not everybody's gonna listen to me, but, you know, do not go harass OKISO or anybody else involved, okay? I heard that he got a lot of backlash for the first video, and obviously nobody deserves death threats or to be threatened at all online, but that's what happened anyway. And I apologize for not making it more clear that that's not okay. I just assumed everybody would be cordial, unfortunately. I've also been getting a lot of misgendering, so I just want to specify that I go by he/it. Including you, OKISO. Don't think I haven't seen the screenshots of you misgendering me consistently the past few weeks. Because I know my voice sounds feminine, I guess. Let me reintroduce myself. My name is Taro. I'm a Vocaloid producer. I've used all kinds of Vocasynths. I've used Vocaloid Editor. I've used SynthV. I've used Chavio. I've used both regular Utao and open Utao. I haven't done Diff Singer yet. I have done VoiceOna though. So I'd like to think myself very well versed in the area and topic, you know. Let's get some points that people were not sure about in my first video. One, I was never accusing any of the art to be AI in that video. Cryday's music video was made by Mino-chan. Incredibly talented artist, animator, go support them. They were commissioned by OKISO and not informed of the nature of their original songs. God bless to them, because this is a mess. Their art and animation is completely genuine. I never said that it wasn't, but I also never said that it, you know, like, apparently leaving anything unspoken was a mistake. I never said his covers were AI. Apparently even just leaving love attribute like in the thumbnail, because it was just a screenshot of his front page. Love attribute, his cover just happened to be there, and then people were in the comments saying, love attribute is AI? And I'm like, no, I didn't say that. I never said that. His covers are genuine. You can tell because of the quality difference. I've watched OKISO's video in response to me, and I mean, the whole time I was just sitting there waiting for him to get to something, you know? He went over the kilohertz, 15 kilohertz argument where it's like, that I didn't even bring up. My comments brought it up a few times where they're like, oh, if you analyze the audio in a spectrogram and it shows up 15 kilohertz, that's a sign that it could be AI generated, because AI generated music has poor quality. And I thought that was cool. I didn't know that, so I just took it as like, oh, that's an interesting fact. But I never brought it up myself as an argument. So he focused on that for like a really long time. And I was watching like, okay, can we get somewhere, please? He really says he's gonna get right into it, but he doesn't. He showed nothing. He showed nothing. That one little clip of Una there, that proved nothing. He could have just recreated that. I have a few little Easter eggs. Actually, he included some cool details in his screenshots that made me give a big question mark. Let's just say that. So let's look. In his FL one, we can only see 3 of them, but I'm assuming there's one above it. A few short audio clips there. These are the stems for the song, for Cryday, which is strange if you are trying to show off a project, because you can AI separate stems pretty easily with things like splice, or I think FL can do it itself. But basically, AI splicing is a thing to separate all the stems. It is important to note that this is a screenshot of him mastering Cryday, which is interesting. I mean, I don't know why he wouldn't. If the mastering track is not the same as the original track, why not show us the original track as well? But somebody put out a tweet saying there are only 4 audio clips. We've got the drums, the bass, the synths, and the vocals. We can see only bass and synths are labeled in a screenshot, and the rest of them are not. If we use the stem extracting feature in FL, it gives us this result. Already looks kind of familiar. The waveforms are very similar, and the order is the exact same. Now let's compare one small chunk of stem-separated instrumentals clip and synths labeled audio clip from the OKISO screenshot. Looks very familiar, but it's just synths, you say? Of course they would look similar. It's the same song. But wait. This chunk is at 2 minutes 14 seconds in the song. Listen to that part carefully. Do you hear any synths? Me neither. The stem separation in this exact moment has only artifacts that it thought it was synths from the bass/drum/FX, etc. You can check it all by yourself with FL Studio or any kind of stem separation tool. And then they were like, I can record a video of it if you want. Here's that video. AI can't fully tell which is which when you give it a song. So a lot of this extra noise is it thinking that there are synths there, but it's just picking up on all the extra noise from the original audio file, which does have quite a lot of extra noise because it's AI generated. They also provided a screenshot of OKISO on his Discord saying, AI stem separation gives a great sound profile to master on top of. You should really try it out. That might as well be why the mix can sound AI-ish to people, I guess. This doesn't make any sense. Respectfully, it doesn't make any sense because you, as the maker of the song, should have the stems yourself. You would not have to AI separate all of the stems if you have them already. You know what I mean? And that doesn't explain the AI confusing the other AI on what is a real instrument and what is not. Also, it seems like nothing in this screenshot is adjusted. I had a person send me a breakdown of his FL screenshot as well. I'll put it on the screen here. The ones that they put on the image are similar to things that have been addressed. There's a ton of bleeding from other tracks. Most notably how the bass stem during quiet parts have a few waveform peaks, which is usually very common by AI stem separation tools. All the twos refer to how the plugin effects have all their settings hidden. Both OTT and the compactor plugin are at their default settings. For OTT, it's hard to say exactly if they're on default settings, but the compactor seems to be untouched. Refer to the white line on compactor. You can use the image below for reference, as it's what compactor first looks like when loading up. And they sent a separate screenshot of what compactor looks like without any changes to it at all. They said the threes in particular is what makes them curious. If it is a mastering project, it makes no sense for other files to be added onto what is supposedly the final mixed version of the song, right? Everything would be included in those stems. Nothing to add on there. I managed to find the sample, and yes, it is in the song. Out of curiosity, it's called NNT_YTK_UI_console_sleep. This does play in the song, but this by no means gives them any credibility, though it does feel weird to be adding something on the mastering process, since usually the song is already supposed to be fully fleshed out. They said 4 is what bothers me the most. I don't understand the idea of using stems during mastering if they aren't even going to change the volume faders. They're all at the default setting, so I can't really seem to make any sense from this decision. Additionally, the track 15, unspecified what it is using 4 sends as their default volume nonetheless. On a production perspective, this is just a really extreme approach, since regardless of how you're using the sends, you're extrapolating how the effects are being sent. Let's say reverb or delay that is being sent to that track, which would make whatever that track is with extremely audible effects. Unless this is some genius production work I'm unaware of, this particularly doesn't work out in a logical perspective. So basically what they're saying there is that they're tying 4 separate tracks. Let's say one of them is the synths, one of them is the drums, yada yada, these are all the stems, which if they are, why are they in tracks 10 to 14 when they're in tracks 1 to what we can see like about 7? But they can tie all of them to one track where they can apply effects, which would normally just be for that singular track. But if you tie them, like you see here, you'd be giving all of those tied tracks the same effects, and it would be extremely noticeable. And why would you apply the same effects or such extreme effects to every single one of them? I also noticed that we've got one 140, 2 130s, and one 128. BPM is important when you're working on a song because it quite literally is the beats per minute. It would be really hard to time anything properly without the right BPM. And initially I thought the 140 BPM on the mastering file wasn't that weird because it technically doesn't matter. Everything's already timed and you don't need to match it up with anything. But you can see that there's additional noises of some sort on top of that mastered file. And if the BPM isn't the right BPM, syncing those up would be extremely hard and weirdly difficult for no reason. Why would you make it harder for yourself to do something so easy? The person that emailed me about the details we just talked about said, as for the 4 sends, I don't think I've seen anyone do something like that because it's an approach that leads to very extreme results. If anything, most people would like to keep their sends at very low levels, such as reverb and delays, to avoid making them sound cluttered in a mix. So this to me already sounds just like they quickly put together a bunch of random things to make themselves look good in front of people who aren't aware of how music production works. As an example, when I usually use sends for reverbs or delays, I like to use them on vocals under 30 dB. Meanwhile, they're going full 0 dB and sending the entire reverb, delay, whatever else signal through. I mean, it goes without saying that I can't really make out anything that would require this specific sort of processing either. This is completely different from the vocal merging shown in the video to break things down properly. They're using Neutron, a smart mixing plugin, Fresh Air, high-end boost, OTT, multiband compression, which seems to be on the default settings if you know how it sounds like, you know. And then Compactor, another compressor, except it doesn't seem to be doing anything. All of that on top of 4 sends with its default volume. Like, through my understanding, I genuinely cannot make out a single stem or processing that would require this sort of usage. It doesn't make any sense to put a multiband compressor on drums because it would just have a lot of unnecessary noise and clicking. While I can't see why you would need to use Neutron for something like drums, since it just seems like it's doing basic EQ, equalization, and then maybe working on transients, it doesn't make sense for it to be drums, since it's doing double compression or even triple compression if you want to consider the transient shaper. OTT on bass would also be catastrophic, so I can't see that being the bass either. Again, on general terms, it just feels like it's an attempt to be like, hey look, this is actually original, here's proof. For people who aren't as aware of music production to look at this and think, yeah, this is definitely evidence they made the song. This person has a point because anybody that actually produces music or even uses Vocaloid or SynthV or anything like that would look at these files a little closer and realize that there's a lot of things off with them. A lot. That's just the FL screenshot we talked about. That was one of them. I did ask him questions about a lot of these things, or at least the things that I noticed myself in my email to him that I'll read later. So don't worry about that. Okay, second screenshot. Yay. We've got the first SynthV screenshot. There's two. What's noticeable is that we can visibly see that the audio file, instead of being an instrumental or labeled instrumental, it's called Cry Final, and then the track is named Ref. These things are significant to me because why would you name your instrumental Ref? Like, it doesn't make any sense. What I believe he did here was either recreate the MIDI, the Una parts of the vocals himself, or I heard that there was a feature on SynthV. I only have the free version of SynthV, so this might be just an exclusive paid feature, but apparently you can transport melody into MIDI. So he might not have even put in that much effort to recreate it, you know what I mean? But 130 is the right BPM, so we got that down. And then if we look at his files, these are really interesting because all of these are from mid-August. We've got 8/15, 8/14, except for everything else in October, and they're all on the same day, October 16th. What happened on that day? My call-out video came out. Oh, yeah, no, we got the 20th too. 20th of August. We got the Cry Final in August. So why would the MIDI be from October when the song is already done? That doesn't make any sense to me. Somebody said, I noticed that the SVP file dates showed that they're from after the song was released. I also think that what would really help in the long run is live streaming your process or making a video that shows a screen recording of the files, Vocaloid tracks, the stuff in the DAW, etc. Also, out of curiosity, what Miku voice banks were used. And he said, hey, thanks for asking. I had to actually repurpose the SVP file since I uninstalled SynthV 1. I have SynthV 2 now, and the project conversion basically recreated the file. SynthV 2 came out in March of this year, so quite a long time ago. I don't know why he would need to switch to SynthV 2 now, specifically for this project. That wasn't even that old. It was August. The second SynthV file is weirder to me because unless this is when he was still making it, like a screenshot of once he was still making it, doesn't really make sense to me. We can see the date is August 14th on this section that he has here, which just seems to be default input because they're all the same phonemes over and over again. For example, when I use my Vocaloid, I have the automatic phoneme set to na. There is no language set on this one, and the BPM is 2 BPM off, which is like really irritating if you're actually trying to get anything on timing, because it'll all be just slightly off. And then you'll feel like you're going crazy. That one has almost nothing, honestly. But shout out to Zooples who caught this. But you can see at the top of one of his SynthV files that it says Synthesizer V Studio 2 Pro, and then it says Untitled with an asterisk next to it. What does this asterisk mean? If you don't often use programs of any kind, honestly, it means that the project has never been saved. Not even saved as Untitled. Never saved. Like straight up never. That's also another question I brought up in my email. And then we have his screenshot of Vocaloid editor. We've got VFlower V4, expected. Miku Solid V2, which is a little outdated for Miku because people usually use V4. And even if people are using older ones, it's usually V3, not V2. But whatever, that could be just a preference thing. And then we have Miku V4X Solid. Why do you have two of the same voice bank, but one of them is older and one of them is newer? I don't know. Again, I'll let it go. Could be personal preference. We've got BPM 130 in here. What's really interesting to me is that none of them have any effects on, and they're all at the default volume, which is not how a regular Vocaloid file looks. Mine is all over the place. I mean, like, at the very least, you would do some adjusting in here before porting it over to FL to mix and master everything. Also, he didn't click on any of the tracks, so we can't see any of them in the piano roll at the bottom, which is a choice. Wouldn't you want to show as much as you could? I certainly would. I would click one of the tracks and fully zoom out so you could see every single note and all the tuning and on everything, but he didn't. Strange choice. So those are all of his screenshots that he put on his page. His only other acknowledgement of the situation on YouTube was his video called "The AI Slop Situation is Crazy." I watched this video like the second it came out. I was ready. Okay. Like I brought up before, this video is inconclusive at best. He never shows what we're looking for or the things that he needs to show to prove that he made Cry Die. Not only Cry Die, but all of his other songs, you know what I mean? He dances around the subject. He goes over the 15 kilohertz argument that I didn't bring up. And I never brought up as like, every AI song is at this kilohertz. He brings up the spectrogram of Cry Die in its own separate tab, even though you can open it in FL, like we saw in that other person's video. Again, he's making a lot of weird choices, let me just say that. So he goes through that and he's like, it's not 15 kilohertz and this is why, and he goes through the spectrogram. He also brings up how YouTube and Instagram, the places that I got his music from and I used in my video, compress your music. It does do that. It does that to me too. I'm a music producer and I know full well how bad YouTube can compress your music, which is to be expected, but it won't tank my quality to the level of quality that he put out. What the hell did his sound like to begin with to make it that bad? Basically, the compression on these two social medias is not enough to make your song sound like that, or like all of your songs sound like that. He then segues into how Spotify is implementing AI usage into their system, and since they have rights to every song uploaded on their database, they can technically do whatever they want to your songs because they're not really yours anymore. And he goes on about, let's focus on the corporations, let's not fight each other, redirect your attention to the corporations abusing AI.
That's a question.
Yeah, and what's the answer?
Look over there!
I agree, this is an important topic, but it's not what we're talking about right now. You're not free of criticism just because AI corporations are doing it worse, objectively, you know what I mean? You can still be judged. You posted it publicly on the internet, by the way, just saying. So, anything you post on the internet will get judged one way or another, and that's why I posted there. So other people can see it and they can judge it how they want. He seems to not have responded to me so much as responded to a bunch of random comments in my comment section, because he brings up the 15 kilohertz argument and then he brings up that he made his own covers and he commissioned these artists and he drew these things for his other covers. And I'm like, that was never the focus of what we're talking about, at least to an extent where you talk about it for 20 minutes straight. That's why I'm trying to pack this video with as much information as possible in the shortest amount of time, because I was bored watching his. He played about 3 seconds of Una singing from Cry Die. That was from the first SynthV file that we looked at. This one. Honestly, I can just put the clip here. Here, this is what he gave us.
This is pre-mix Una, by the way, just Una. And I think if I just show this should be more than enough. Like, this by itself has the same exact vibrato and oh my god, I cannot believe this. That's it.
This was our only real look at any of Cry Die in this video at all. His vocal merging examples were not from Cry Die. They were separate tests made for the video. So we never saw any official files except for that one clip of Una singing for a second. And he brings up, oh, the tuning is the same, the vibrato is the same. And I'm like, why didn't you turn on the instrumental? Why didn't you turn on any of the other tracks? Why only play this singular track of just Una singing a minuscule part of the song instead, and then just move on with a, if nobody believes me, that's just ridiculous and I can never convince you kind of thing. Give us something that can convince us. You know what I mean? Give us something solid. If 3 seconds is enough for most people, which it seems like it was. Most of his audience just saw him open a project file and were like, oh, I'm convinced he does music. Which I never said he didn't do music, but he's sure not showing the things that he needs to show, and none of his files make sense. It's really telling that he didn't bring up any of the actual Cry Die files on video except for that one part. And then he circles back to the focus on companies, not me. Which, again, I agree, it's an important topic, but we're talking about you here. We're not talking about Spotify and how they're abusing the system. We know Spotify is shitty and is abusing the system, and we'll get to that in a different video because it's a different topic. Can you believe that? That's not what we're talking about right now. Anyway, after he released that video, a lot of people were immediately convinced. I got a flood of people coming to my comment sections, both on my posts and my video, saying he put out an explanation video, I'm waiting for an apology. If he was telling the truth, you should just be happy that his songs aren't AI and you can enjoy them in a good conscience. Which unfortunately is not the case, because he capitalizes on everybody's lack of knowledge when it comes to music production and Vocaloid use to lie to his audience. Again, but I got a lot of people coming for my throat telling me that I was wrong. He put out a video. What are you going to do now? There's still people asking me to watch the video, and I'm like far past that right now, but all right. Trust me, guys, I watched this video. It wasn't particularly engaging, but kind of had to watch it in my case. So it was late at night at that point where I live, and I read his comments, and a bunch of them were like, I knew it wasn't AI, or I'm sorry that Taro came after you like that. And I'm like, there's a lot of use of the word witch hunt here, witch hunt. I think is a misnomer. I never made any personal gripes with him as a person or anything like that because I don't know him, which is why I found it extra strange that in his video, he was like, I'm not going to name any names, but this person, I believe that they're out just for fame and attention and clout. Bars. I didn't know my video was going to get over 1,000 views, buddy. I didn't think it was going to get anything. I'm glad it got something, I'm clearly. And he was like, if they really just seeked the truth, they would have contacted me privately first. I tried to, through his comments at first. Like I said in the original video, I commented, he responded, and then I commented again, and then it was deleted by him, confirmed now. He says that it was just the system filtering out all of those comments, but these past few days where his video has been up is really telling, because anybody opposing him in the slightest, their comment is deleted. And again, not by YouTube. There's a delay between the comment going up and then it being deleted. And if YouTube was the one doing it, it would have immediately disappeared. But I was tired. It was a whole mess, and I didn't want it to progress any further out of my control at that moment. So I privated my video, and I made a post about it saying exactly why I privated my video, which a lot of people missed. I said, this isn't an admittance of whether I've been in the right or not, but I will be privating the video on OKISO as of now. I still have quite a few questions for him, but now it is being sorted out in private, as it should have been from the start. I should have contacted him through his email first, maybe before making that video, but do not view one of us as being correct in this situation until we figure it out and come back with an actual conclusion. I cannot tell you how long this will take. Thank you, and I will proceed with making more general videos on how to spot AI music generated by Suno in the future. I never expected to get this much traction, and I ask you all to keep your public opinions neutral and respectful until this situation is resolved. Do not go harass OKISO or anyone involved. It was and will never be okay. This was listed in my video's description, but OKISO received a lot of harassment regardless. It will never get anyone anywhere positive. Thank you again, Tara. Even the people that read this post took it as me privating the video and forgetting about the whole situation and never bringing it back up after ruining somebody's life. And I'm like, sure, man, because that's definitely what I said. Also, he never said, don't harass me in any of his videos, but he came after me for getting mobbed by the public and not being explicit enough on how to handle the situation. I think the fact that he said, I'm not going to name anybody, is not noble in the way that he wants us to view it, but in the way that he knows everybody came from my video already, so they know the person that's calling him out. He doesn't need to say it. Whereas on my end, if I made that post without giving a name, nobody would know who the hell I'm talking about. Anyway, it was probably a coward move to private the video, but I didn't want people to continue ping-ponging back and forth through our videos and then reading my posts. And I got a lot of comments saying that the situation was confusing, and I get that because it kind of is to anybody not like in the immediate loop of what's happening. I emailed him like I said I would. I'll summarize what I started with in the email, but it'll be on screen if you want to read it. I just don't want to make this video longer than it needs to be. So I said, hi, I apologize for how I handled the situation. I didn't expect views. It got out of hand really quickly. I never accused your covers or any of the art to be AI, and I'm sorry that you got harassed. Condolences. I assumed that he wouldn't be able or willing to talk to me because he deleted my comment twice, which I don't think is like an outrageous conclusion, but I could have definitely reached out to him privately after that, though I would not have have a clue if he was going to answer me or not. I basically said, I know about the compression issue with YouTube. I'm a music producer as well, which a lot of people don't realize, which is strange to me. They're like, who are you to be saying all this? And I'm like, because I have FL Studio and I have Vocaloids and I have voice banks and I've used these programs before and I've heard what AI music sound like. I won't be divulging the exact or all the details that he gave me, or lack of, but I'll summarize what he replied with. To my first question of why don't you just show the file, the full music file, he said it's preference and that if his hand is forced, he'll show it, which I bring up later. And he brought up that VocaDB has already seen his files. I'm not going to address how I feel about these questions. I'm just going to say them because I replied to his email with pretty much everything summing up. 2, why is the audio file track in the SynthV project named ref? He said it's the instrumental that I built the vocal lead on. Why is the audio file itself labeled CryDie Final? It's the finalized master file that is sent to distributors. Why would you send file to distributors if there's no vocals yet and if that's the instrumental? 4, why did you choose not to play the file with the audio track on even for a little bit, only playing a small section of Una's vocal before quickly moving on with that should be enough? He said I could have, but the video was getting really long and I was under a lot of pressure. 5, in your community post, why is the file titled unnamed with an asterisk, showing that the file had not ever been saved? He says he doesn't know actually, but it might be due to the export after carrying it through the programs. 6, why are all of the CryDie files from mid-August except for suddenly all of the ones made on 10/16, the day that I made my video? I saw you say that it was because you switched over to SynthV 2, but it came out in March of this year, so why wait until now to switch over? His response to this, he has a bad habit of spamming save, and that's why these are recent and not older. 7, I believe that some of your Vocaloids use RVC Miku as well as other Vocaloids RVCs. Do you accept or deny this claim? He said that he used RVC Miku in the past, but stopped, and that was the only one he used. Objection, Your Honor. 8, in the screenshots you provided in the community post, why are the BPMs inconsistent each program? Vocaloid has it at 130, which to my information is correct. One SynthV Screenshot has it at 128, the other 130, and your FL Studio file has it at 140. He brought up the point that the BPM in the mastering file doesn't matter because it's just mastering and everything's timed. I talked about that already. And then he says the other two are due to exporting the files in between programs again, which is strange to me because whenever I transfer projects from one project to another, it kind of like it automatically saves the BPM into the data, or if you like switch it over, it keeps that data from the original project. 11, why does your Revolution album cover have AI generated art? If I'm wrong, I'd love to see evidence. This is the thing that I was talking about earlier. There's one of his album covers that's still up that has a clearly AI generated Miku. He says it was my first album. I would hide it, but I can't. I made it for fun, but my opinion of AI art is set in stone now. I'll skip 12 because I was actually incorrect about this one. I just missed the part where he did talk about his producer tag. But 13, why is your tuning and mixing on covers so drastically different from your tuning/mixing on your original songs? He believes that covers should have tuning and mixing faithful to the original with a tiny spin on it. His originals should use experimental top-notch technique. Why is that experimental top-notch technique used on your covers too? Why does one get special treatment? Why does one have to be faithful and the other one do whatever it wants? I get the other one is your original song, but like if you can do crazy things with the vocals, why not do it on the covers too? On your FL Studio screenshot for CryDie, why do you have Photoshop open on your bottom hotbar? That's something that I didn't bring up on purpose because I knew I was going to get to it here. He had to split up the images for VocaDB to see. He had all of his monitors open and he took a screenshot of that, which it was far too zoomed out to see everything. This one makes sense to me. I don't see why else he would be in Photoshop unless there's some extra suspicious thing going on. 15, why do none of the effects/tracks on your FL Studio screenshot, again from the community post, look adjusted? Again, this is something that we talked about earlier, where I noticed that things were not adjusted, as well as one of the people that emailed me. He says they are adjusted, but they're hidden behind other tabs, that he's tired and can't recall the details in some of them, but that a few are set to presets. 16, how did you get such a full sound from so few voice tracks? Parentheses, genuinely, I'm trying to recreate it and I cannot seem to multiply it enough or put enough VFX on it. Plus, why are there so many nonsense sounds that never really go anywhere or play properly? What's with all the extra fuzzy noise in the back? He said it's not actually a few. Count the tracks between all of the programs, that is quite a lot of tracks, which like is max 7 from the screenshots he gave us, if we're including that weird work in progress one that we weren't sure about. I have a lot more than 7 so far, and it's still not enough. I have like 24. That could be me. That could be a skill issue on my part, sure. I said if you prove undeniably that CryDie was made by you, I will only post my remake with permission, with everything visible. I'll provide the VSQX. I'll show a full thing of my FL project. I'll provide the instrumental. These are things that he has not done for CryDie, by the way, even though he said he was going to provide the instrumental and SVP files for it in response to some of his comments on the Cried Eye music video. I also sent what my recreation looks like so far, as well as what it sounds like so far. I told him that I made that post where I explained why I privated my video and that I would be making a conclusion video on this topic with whatever outcome we came to, negative, neutral, or positive. At the end of his email, he brought his conversation back into the corporation, focus on corporations, not me, and bold statement of, but never redirect the discourse at me again. Important note, he didn't attach anything to his email. There's no files attached, despite me asking for proof that he made Cried Eye. He didn't even send me the screenshots that he provided in his community post. He didn't send me anything. So after reading that email, I started formulating my response. This is 3 days ago. This is October 18th, and I still have not gotten a response from him for this email. I'm just going to straight up read what I wrote because I feel like all of it's important. Okay, I'm going to be real with you here. You gave me no more proof in your email, and you expect me to just take your word for every question answered? I understand what you're saying about the corporations using AI, such as Spotify and other streaming services, implementing it into their system, but that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about you and your use of AI. Stop trying to distract me. Regardless if you used AI in any part of Cried Eye's process, which I still believe you did, there are so many unexplained choices that I've discovered with the song while trying to recreate it. I know you've used it on, if not fully generated, many original songs of yours. No, I skipped 9 by accident. I was talking about Blow It All Up and Still Be Gone, which were in my original video. The two I listed above, those two, as well as one named Light that is extremely obvious in its AI generated sound. This is not about the 15 kilohertz anymore. That's not the only way to figure out if something was made with AI. Drop that argument because it's not working. But I'll give you one more chance to provide full videos and full transparency of Cried Eye's files. Here, there is no need to worry about the video getting too long or keeping the mystery. It's just me and you. Why do you insist on staying so evasive? Your sentence saying, if my hand is forced though, I could show it, is puzzling because if there's a time to be showing it, wouldn't it be now? These are serious accusations I'm firing at you. Why wouldn't you want to give me the without a reason of a doubt that you did not generate or even utilize AI on any of your original songs? Namely Cried Eye here. I quoted him, VocaDB and Osu have already seen more of my projects as previously stated. VocaDB has come to me regarding this situation as well and said you have not provided any full projects or videos of Cried Eye, let alone any files of the previous songs accused of AI. I know for a fact that you didn't give them any more than me, and what you gave me was nothing conclusive at all. I say that, but like he actually just gave me nothing. And yes, I was in contact with one of the VocaDB mods. They asked me if I got anything from him, and I said no. And they were like, we didn't get anything either. So there's that. Again, I'm sorry about the harassment you received, but stop trying to make me feel bad for you. I've also been harassed, but I'm not drawing attention to it because that is, again, not what we're focusing on. You must have a very strict set of banned words for your comments, as only positive ones have been left on your video. This is sarcasm. A lot of people have separately come to me to say that their comments were deleted, not by YouTube and not filtered, as they took a while to disappear. YouTube would have immediately withheld the comment if they were the ones filtering it out. You're deleting them. Just so neither of us can summarize and selectively leave out what the other said, after this email, we will both have permission to bring screenshots of this full conversation to the public as evidence. I have nothing to hide here, and I'm being firm with you because it seems like I won't get anywhere with you without it. Full transparency so both of us cannot misconstrue what the other has said. Like I said before, provide full videos proving that you made every single part of Cried Eye, or I'll have to make another negative video on you. I said I would make a conclusion video no matter what, whether it be positive, negative, or neutral on you, and right now it looks like it might be negative. Give me proof or I will settle this myself. This is my last chance trying to reason with you. I told you what you had to give me to leave you alone, and you're not cooperating. Tara. Like I said, I had to be a lot more direct with him because the flowery words were clearly distracting him from both my argument and his. His whole email was full of empty platitudes and also threats. Now, you've heard me bring up the name VocaDB. This means Vocaloid database. Vocaloid database has pretty much all of the information ever needed on any producer at any time. It has all of their listed uploads, it has all of their listed songs, it has a bio with the producer's name, and obviously this system needs to be regulated, so there are quite a few moderators. He had been questioned previously on whether he was using AI. I'll get to that. And my video just reopened the discussion on the 16th. They contacted OKISO just like I did, and it took 2 days with many mods and anonymous producers to decide the verdict. The verdict is that he was using AI to generate his original song. The exact quote is said by FinnRG/Pythor. After a thorough analysis and discussions with OKISO, Tara P, and other producers, we have decided to add OKISO to the list of AI artists, and we will delete all song and album entries soon. Please ask questions regarding this decision as a thread to this message, and remember the discussion rules to not engage in drama or hateful speech. They took 2 days to reach this verdict. They went over all of their information. They consulted other producers on the topic, asking if they thought it was AI. There's quite a few mods working on this too. It's not just one person. Their decision holds so much weight because if they they were to be wrong, it's like moderators of like something like Wikipedia just letting misinformation go rampant, and that's what they're clearly trying to prevent. So they considered their decision very carefully. A lot of people were still confused because they still believed OKISO's video and were asking, how did you come to this conclusion? So the next day for me, a Google Doc came out on the topic of how they came to their decision. Let's read that together. VocaDB AI music analysis for OKISO. They make their policy against AI usage very clear at the start. Their process for enforcing the AI policy. Song, album, and artist entries can be freely added to VocaDB by any user. It's like Wikipedia, like I said. Concerns about entries are raised either through entry reports or direct communication for the trusted user / mod team via email or the Discord server. After receiving a report about possible AI usage, a team of trusted users and moderators listens to the songs and looks at typical AI indicators. There's reasonable suspicion we try to contact the producer and ask for their comments and evidence that they use traditional music production tools. Providing this evidence should be very easy. It takes less than 5 minutes to open the project files, do a short screen recording, and send it to us. This is why the situation is so puzzling for every music producer out there. Why does he refuse to do the easiest thing that would get him out of the situation? In uncertain cases, we will also sometimes consult with external producers or other involved people to get their opinion on a particular song. So then it starts the timeline. He was first reported for AI usage in April, and to prove that he wasn't using AI, he showed project files for his song Calamity. But my video came out, they reopened the investigation, reach out to OKISO via Discord. OKISO responds quickly and is generally very communicative. Then OKISO publishes his video, and then I set my video to private for a night, and then they reach their conclusion. Guilty until proven innocent. This is a common phrase used by OKISO and the people defending his works. We, however, think that this is not an accurate reflection of the process we use at VocaDB. Producers have a very simple way of proving their innocence, and claims are only raised after an initial review of experienced moderators. Evidence. Interaction in April. During the April analysis of OKISO songs, he joined the VocaDB's Discord server and shared these screenshots of the song Calamity, which is still unreleased. The same song was used in his response video 6 months later. Here's the chat log. The moderator asks, do you use Suna to create your music? He says, I can show you my projects, lol. I use FL Studio. Mod says, please show me a picture of the project on any version of Vocaloid you used to create one of these songs, or if you are able, please export the VSQ. He says, these are all my plugins, Vocaloid voice banks. I'll also fetch some stuff from my SynthV. The mod says, I am not looking for plugins. Please open one of your projects in Vocaloid and take a picture of the editor. He says, I mean, I don't care. The more I can send, I'm sure the better it'd be. Sure. Do I just send everything here? I hope it won't bother. If y'all have any other questions, I'm free to talk about it. And then he sent the project file of Calamity. I also saw y'all talking about output. These songs have been in the works for up to a year now. Mod says, again, this is not what I asked for. Please open the Vocaloid editor. OKISO says, oh, sure. I'll show the vocal editor for this song so you can align the audio tracks. It's both SynthV and PiaPro, so then the argument should be totally over. Got Una, Gumi, Teto, and Miku on it. This is a SynthV for the song. Give me 1 sec because I'm trying to find the PiaPro for the Miku vocal track. And then he sends a screenshot. Mod says, which song is this for? He says, it's a song I'm releasing with all 4 characters. Thought it would be the best to show since it literally has everything I use. I do, however, want to say my first art covers were clearly AI, but in my defense, I didn't even think my music would ever get anywhere. Now I actually commission artists to draw myself or just get some fire 3D pics from some modeling I do. Mod says, alright then, I feel like this is definitely enough evidence that you're a legitimate producer. I'm very sorry for accusing you of using AI for your music. At the time, this was enough evidence, so they closed the case. Project files / instrumental stems. We contacted OKISO almost immediately after the accusation video was published. After around 2 days of daily messages and discussions, we have not received a screenshot or a video of the instrumental stems, the Vocaloid project files, or the vocal mixing, vocal merging, used to achieve the cried-eye vocals. The only evidence we received from OKISO was a 4-second video clip of just Una and 4 inconclusive screenshots. The mastering screenshot will be discussed later in this document. You can watch the video. Light. OKISO published a song called Light on the 18th of July, 2024. The song was also uploaded as a now deleted tweet. The song has been removed from all streaming services, but an archived version of the song can be found here. The song has the typical Suno EDM sound and does not have typical Gumi vocal traits. OKISO claims that he lost all project files due to window upgrade. So let's listen to Light right here. But OKISO said, ah, damn, that is an old site, crying emoji. Yeah, for Light and the other old ones, which you probably can't even find anymore, I deleted them way ago because they were just terrible to me and more of like experiments. There's no chance I can find anything about Light because it was on my old Windows install. I think I used Gumi on Light though. She was my main go-to, as you can see in the first song on my Spotify discography. If you made the song, no matter how long ago, you would know what Vocaloid you used. Just saying. Publishing frequency. From March to April 2025, OKISO published 4 albums, Resurrection, Fantasia, and Etude, Fantasia, including 51 different songs. While this in itself is not a conclusive indicator of AI usage, it is still significant in the context of the overall analysis. This is in a month. He released 4 albums in a month, 51 songs in a month. This is not normal. I think you should be able to figure that out. Stem isolation artifact. OKISO frequently shared screenshots of his mastering process to prove his innocence. In these screenshots, you can see artifacts of AI stem separation in the waveforms. If you actually produce the instrumentals and vocals yourself, there's no need to use AI stem separation. And then it brings up the tweet that I was talking about earlier. And then OKISO, in regards to this, he's responding to somebody, said, I didn't use it for that purpose. I'm saying I'm overall guessing that people can assume this was AI because of the way the mix buses were split. I'm honestly still testing out many different ways to master and mix. I've been doing more of this recently, and as I said, it could be way this gives the AI feeling since the stems are separated with stem separation. Like, my intent wasn't for it to sound AI, it was just to get a fast stem rep. Why would you need a stem rep for your own song? You already have the stems. Lies. After making our decision public, OKISO repeatedly lied about our interactions in his Discord server and to Mino, the Cry-Dye MV animator. VocaDB has contacted OKISO multiple times over a span of 2 days and repeatedly asked for easy to provide evidence. Somebody said, joined to ask about the AI bullshit. OKISO said, VocaDB decided to confirm without contacting me that now all my music is just AI. Obviously, we know this isn't true. Both me and VocaDB were contacting OKISO privately, and had been at this point. That first person said, can't you try to talk to them? OKISO said, well, I told them I was okay with talking, then radio silent. Mino made a post saying, this matter will be put on hold. I received a response from the person at VocaDB who was conducting the investigation. What OKISO-san themselves said and what the person investigating said are different, and I'm at a loss as to who to believe. I'm considering hearing out both sides a bit more and then stepping back from this matter. When it comes to Mino, I feel so bad for them that they got stuck in this whole situation. They do not deserve any of this, let alone OKISO trying to like contact them privately and convince them to be on his side, which is messed up. External producers. VocaDB also contacted accomplished external producers and music production experts for their opinion on the response video and various original songs. The general consensus is that it is almost certain that generative AI was used for instrumentals and vocals. Producers have asked to stay anonymous. Overall stance on AI. These statements were not part of our original analysis, but we still want to share them here. OKISO has publicly admitted to using AI for album cover art. While this does not automatically imply AI-generated music, it can be indicative of his overall opinion on using AI for creative processes. This is the thing I read earlier from the April conversation. After the decision was made by VocaDB, OKISO also claimed in his Discord server that he will start using Suno in his music production process now. OKISO said, I'm going to make it clear right here, if people in this industry and community are so pressuring to reach such a conclusion without a full conversation coming from me, I'm going to use AI to my advantage. Perhaps for spite, perhaps because I know I can go even farther beyond with it. It will be disclosed when it is used, since they decided to rot all my other releases anyway. This is my choice. Somebody responded to this saying, I know this is your choice, but here's the thing, your music is better than AI, it will always be. He said, don't worry, I'm not going to just put some single prompt in and call it a day. The tooling got good enough, with some research I actually made because of these allegations, that would only speed up my process, not replace it. It's just now part of a tool set. Same person said, what AI tools would you specifically use? OKISO instead responds to another person talking about his declaration to use AI. Not your mom, won't tell you what decisions to make, but please at least try to calm down first. OKISO said, how would you feel? I feel like they just made the choice for me. I know I can produce, and yet they still went with this, so might as well go all in. We never said he couldn't produce. Somebody said, well, we can't stop you. OKISO responded to the AI tool question with sample generation perhaps. Suno Studio can generate stems for me to put together in my own track. This is something that I didn't even know Suno could do. I have never heard of Suno Studio until now, which is very interesting. If I didn't know about it, and I'm very well educated in it, how did he know about it in the 2 days since he was accused? Conclusion. After reviewing all the evidence, engaging in thorough discussions with the trusted user/moderation team, and communicating with OKISO, Tartapi, and external producers, we have concluded that it is highly likely OKISO used generative AI in the music production process. Furthermore, he has failed to provide any evidence to refute our allegations. He could have ended this all very simply, by the way. He just had to provide a video to either me or VocaDB, but he just didn't want to. Apparently this doc was still not enough for a lot of people, so let's get into other things. Okay, so this is a totally skippable portion of the video. If you only care about the music producer stuff, you can skip this one, honestly, but it does hold a lot of information regarding what OKISO is like as a person. So try to decide if you even want to support him regardless of the AI use in his original songs. So first of all, we're going to talk about his Vocaloids, his shorts. Like he said in his reply to me asking if he used RVC Vocaloids, he has used, at the very least, RVC Miku before. If you don't know what RVC Miku is or what RVC means, it basically works like, you know, those old covers where it's like insert celebrity singing this song and then it says AI cover. It's basically where if you already have an audio clip of somebody talking or singing, you can feed it into an AI speaker thing that has AI voice changer thingy-mabob to make it sound like whoever you want. And people have made ones of Miku and other voice banks, which is illegal, by the way, because it's using the voice banks without paying for them and 99% of the time not disclosing that it's not the actual voice bank and it's just an AI that's based off of Miku's sound, you know? So basically, if you hear a Vocaloid that's like oddly smooth and sounds too human almost, I'll put a few examples. They're most likely using RVC or feeding it into an AI voice changer.
Brought back Miku to talk about one of the most important plugins of all time.
The equalizer. Specifically, we're gonna talk about vocal EQs and how to properly do them. On FL's stock plugin, you can start with the vocal preset. We're gonna tune it keeping in mind a couple simple rules.
One of his Vocaloids makes fun of the war between Israel and Palestine.
Didn't think you could initiate a ceasefire between Israel and Gaza by standing in the middle?
And I was disgusted when I found this. I don't care if it's a joke, because nothing about it is funny. There's nothing to joke about here. And it really showed me that he, as a person, might not be the greatest, at the very least. A lot of his Vocaloids are done in poor taste as well, including that one. Making fun of disabled people, mutated animals, really low-hanging fruit, where it's only funny to people with no humor of themselves. I personally do not think making fun of a mutated dog's appearance is funny. Just saying.
Bro, I'm really trying to be nice right now, but you have no room to get on my nerves, gang. You serve no purpose whatsoever. You're not a guard dog, and you got nothing to look at. No physical or emotional purpose, gang. And I'm never getting you a girl dog, your genetics need to be stopped right there. You're chopped. You're chopped.
Even if it's Teto saying it, I don't care. I don't care. It's still not cool. I don't care if you put effort. If you actually... Some of his Vocaloids are authentic. I'll play the ones that are authentic and the ones that are not, so you can hear the difference. But either way, his sense of humor is lacking and morally questionable.
Oh, I wasn't gonna tell you, but the vet I knows you with stage 3 chopped. You chopped cheese, gang. Mao Mao, sounding now.
Today we're gonna talk about compressors. We have the threshold, which is simply when the compressor starts working. Then we have the ratio. How the compressor reduces the volume once it goes over the threshold. A 2-to-1 ratio means that for every 2 decibel that it goes over, it will only let the 1 go over.
Hello everyone, this is OKISO here. He's trying to get the vision code so he can do commissions. He only needs 100 likes and 5 unique comments. Yeah, today we had a really important tip about Medium. You ever made a song and the reverb starts to blend in too fast? Lucky for you, we had pre-delay.
Second, another point that only came up recently is that people pointed out that his coding, because he mentioned being a coder and a sound producer for, what, 10 years? He said 10 years.
I have been making music for like a decade now, and I'm a mixing engineer, I'm a sound engineer, I'm a developer, I do art, I do a lot of shit, okay?
His coding is 90% ChatGPT generated. I have some screenshots from his Discord. Somebody said, yeah, I'm glad I didn't really do music as a job and only do it for fun. He says, it's too unstable for it to be a job, even if you're the main artist. I feel the same way with art, to be honest. Probably happening with every creative media. He says, yeah, I'm glad my main career is just software engineering. And the first person says, yeah, until Gemini, Claude, ChatGPT, whatever, LLM gets too good at scripting. He says, I'm okay with being a cog in the machine when it comes to coding. GitHub Copilot has been carrying me with MCP servers. So he admits to using AI there. Somebody says, but LMFAO, they are not the everything tool. He says, God bless AI coding, dude. Saved me so much time. F debugging, never doing that with no assistance. Are you kidding me? I believe it's the same situation with his music where he takes the approach that he's just using it as a tool for himself, when in reality it's doing most of the heavy lifting and you would not be able to do the things that he's doing right now without it. And he's expressed multiple times that he is willing to embrace AI. He brings up the tool argument a lot, but it's not a tool when it's doing everything for you. You're using it, but it's not a tool to add on to your experience anymore. Another topic is that I'd like to emphasize the fact that he made 4 albums, which equates to 51 songs in his case, in a month from March to April. Allegedly, he made all of those in a month. He has stated in his server, after somebody pointed out that he'd have to make 3 full songs a day to be able to do that, he said that he is able to, at most, sketch out 3 song ideas per day, which is not the same as fully fleshing out a finished song. 3 finished songs per day. Even if I stayed inside for a week, I don't think I could finish 3 fully fleshed out songs. And that includes like skipping meals and going to the bathroom and, you know, fully focusing on that. Even then it would be hard. Like it was brought up before in the Google Doc, it is confirmed that he has used AI generated images in the past, and his AI generated Miku is still the cover of his album Revolution. He says his stance on this has changed, and he talks about how he spends a lot of money to afford hiring artists, real artists, to work on his stuff, but I believe he would not have the money to do so if he didn't already generate money from mass producing AI songs and monetizing them on streaming services, because clearly when he started out, he had none of that money to spare, so he used AI to generate all of his album covers and art. There's also another song called Dark. Really, can you tell how it relates to light? Whoa, so cool, very deep, but it's also been erased on pretty much every streaming platform. If you try to go to the YouTube link, it says video not available. The only thing left of it is one of the preview samples, which I can play here. 'So these are just a few points that you might want to consider if you really want to support OKISO in good faith, because he's decided to lie about so many different things, not just his music, that it's hard to believe anything he says anymore. Also, if he was a programmer since 10 years ago, he would have been a child. He is not that old. A professional sound engineer and developer came to me with an email chock full of evidence that he uses ChatGPT to assist his coding at the very least. There are a lot of informal comments included in the code, as well as spots where the AI left spaces for him to input his information, as in your navigation links, a lot of insert here type logs. If he was coding that himself, there's no reason for him to write it like that, because it's his navigation logs. It just says your navigation logs because it's from the AI's perspective. There are also clear tells of AI usage in the way the coding is formatted, the inconsistencies, the redundance of commenting something divider on the divider CSS class, pointless comments, unprofessional comments, too perfect grammar, and in his descriptions of what some of his code does, you can clearly see that it was generated by ChatGPT because of all of the emojis on the side and the clear use of the M dash, which people do use, but AI loves to use it excessively. He's had a Fiverr account since 2018. His description says, "I'm a software enthusiast who's always had a passion for games. I began my programming journey in 2022, around when ChatGPT and a lot of large AI models became proficient at what they do. With simple languages such as HTML for website development, HTML is not a programming language, and worked my way to Discord bot development with JavaScript and Python. I have 2 years of experience with Discord's API and their v14.js library, and I've also been a user on their platform since 2016, so I know my ways around their system. I currently own and run bots for servers totaling over 50k members." You can see in one of his coding projects, he has his Discord visible, and it says 19 on it, and we can deduce through simple math that he started using bots when he was 16, 12 when he registered on Fiverr, and about 11 when he made an account on GitHub, because it says he's been on GitHub for 8 years. This person also says, "By the way, there was no activity before 2023 on GitHub, like at all. I checked, I really did." Again, a sign of him using AI, because that's when AI became really good at developing code and giving answers that made sense to prompts. If there was no activity before then, it shows that he has not been working the entire time he's been on that GitHub account, so he has way less experience than he says he does. I'm not a programmer, and I do not know software development like at all, so I will be linking the full document either in the description or the pinned comment, maybe both, just in case, so people who do know what it's talking about and do know coding better than me can come to their own conclusions on that. But even as somebody with no experience, I can tell that a lot of things here are at least suspicious, and some are straight up telling that he used ChatGPT. Personally, I recognize the insert this here as a pretty obvious sign of AI. The formatting with the emojis is pretty obvious to me, and the structure of which which the sentences are formed is very ChatGPT, again with the M dash. So those are mostly the things that I pointed out because I understand them. Oh, and to add on to this, the rest of my information on his coding was from the VocaDB OKISO page in the comments thread under his bio, which I'll also be including in my description / pinned comment. This next part, I'll just play a bunch of OKISO's quote-unquote original songs and have you listen to them and come to your own conclusions because they're all very clearly AI to me. There's also one song of his that starts with the exact same melody as a Deltarune song, which I noticed. It was really strange. I think he might have actually just ripped or downloaded the Deltarune OST and then shoved it in Suno and had it remix it, because that's an option. You can do that. Anyway, list of what he'd have to do to get us off his back. 1. Show us the files for CryDot. 2. Open a program and play it for more than 4 seconds. 3. Actually, those are the only things he needs to do. So then he can at least prove that CryDot is not AI and make us at least trust him a little bit more. His older songs, I know for a fact they're AI, but CryDot is the only one that's on the fence as of now. I believe it was made with a newer version of Suno, and that's why the Suno sound is less obvious in its nature. You'll see in a lot of screenshots from his Discord server, he outright refuses to show anybody anything other than what he's shown on his posts and his video. He refuses to disclose it to me, to VocaDB, even though he says he has. He insists it's out of 1, preference, or 2, to keep the mystery. Like he's afraid people are going to replicate his style and steal it from him if he shows the files, which is egregious, to say the very least. How full of yourself do you have to be to use that as an argument? And of course, no regular producer is required to show their files to the public, which is why me and VocaDB mods reached to him privately and we're like, we assured him that the conversations would be private and we wouldn't share anything. So what's with keeping the mystery and what's with the preference? Wouldn't you want to stop the drama as quick as possible to save your reputation? And now he's going with the argument that, oh, whatever I show them, it won't be enough. Hey buddy, you didn't show us anything. You didn't show us anything, so of course it's not enough right now. And he pretends to be giving up before it even started, but I legitimately think that he doesn't have anything to show, and that's why he's finding new ways to worm out of it. Me and the VocaDB mods are not going to steal your style. We just want to see proof that it's not AI generated. We're not jealous. We're not trying to hack into your computer in some elaborate way. We wouldn't be making these accusations for something like that. We're making these serious accusations because we believe they're true. And wouldn't you want to respond seriously in return to disprove us as quickly as possible? But no, he refuses to show anybody, despite telling each group that he has shown somebody else something, which is not true. And then he talks like he has completely given up on giving evidence and has just accepted the fact that he's going to use AI now as a quote-unquote tool. No self-respecting artist of any caliber, honestly, would immediately, when accused, turn to the side of AI and start using it out of quote-unquote spite. You would start producing more original songs. You would start showing more of your process. You would start really being authentic in who you're using, what you're using, what's going on with your music and stuff like that. You wouldn't go, oh, I give up. I give up. I'm going to use AI now out of spite. You wouldn't turn to that side so quickly if you weren't already halfway there. He was halfway there. He had been using AI already, and that's why he was so ready to accept an excuse to finally start quote-unquote using it now that we called him out. And everybody believes that he's using AI anyway, so he's just going to use it. It makes no sense. It took him 2 days to completely give up and declare that he's going to be using AI for his other songs. He says it's not for his entire process, but I doubt it. I know he can do things by himself, but he just refuses to because it's easier and quicker to just feed a prompt into Suno and have something generate immediately. Like those 51 songs in a month. He continuously talks about if his hand is forced, he'll show the files. He has said it on his Discord and in his reply email to me. And like I've said, your hand's been forced, buddy. I'm sorry, it's at the point where it is. It has already been forced. And what are you doing? Not giving us anything. You haven't given us anything and you continue to not give us anything. No authentic producer would turn down the chance to immediately debunk all of these accusations, like reputation ruining accusations by showing their files. It's not hard. And if you're worried about mystery and personal preference, just disclose it to the people that need to know, which in this case is me and the VocaDB mods. And still, despite saying he has not given us anything. We're communicating with each other. He has not given us anything. Nothing new, nothing at all. So think about how much this guy lies just to get out of the situation at hand right now. Think about his distractions, his arguments, his excuses, and really try to put it together in your mind. Would a Vocaloid producer do these things? Because I can tell you they would not. It's not how an honest person acts. It's not how a true music producer would go about debunking such serious reputation ruining accusations. I'm personally remaking Cry Die. It's very far from being done, let me just say that. But there are already a lot of things that I've listened to when trying to remake it that immediately set off my sensors because they just don't make sense. There's a lot of quote unquote choices made in this song that a normal human would not have made, or a human at all would have made, because there are ghost notes that aren't really ghost notes. There are noises that abort halfway through. There are noises where I'm not even sure what it's supposed to be sounding like. And there's mixing choices and poor quality all over the place that do not line up to something that a real Vocaloid producer would do. It's been giving me a lot of trouble actually because it's hard to replicate, not because I'm not skilled enough to replicate it, but it's because it's not human. And a human replicating AI, they're gonna struggle because none of the choices were choices made by a person. So a person inherently cannot understand what the AI generation is trying to do with the song. But I'm trying my darndest. I'm trying. Everybody that's telling me to remake it, I'm working on it, okay? It's really hard. I can show you the files that I have right now. No mystery, no secrets, no personal preference. I can show everybody everything. I'll put a watermark over it just so he doesn't try and use this against me for some reason, because he's proven to at least use some underhanded tactics at this point, but I can show you everything and it's not even done. Him talking about how embarrassing it is to show the finished project even, doesn't matter. I don't care if you're embarrassed. Your opportunity to be let off the hook here is gone. You have to show us something, otherwise the argument will perpetuate and we will continue to think that you're using AI or know that you're using AI. I mean, I'm not going to do the thing that he did where he was like, I'll show you this other song that I'm working on, but I'm going to put them for reference on what an FL project for a finished song should really look like, at least generally. I know everybody has a different technique to make music, but for stem audio files in FL Studio is not how it's supposed to look. Inherently, I have a lot of problems with his approach to the situation because he is doubling down. He is continuing to exploit people who don't have enough knowledge on the subject and lie to them to try and convince them that he is making these songs himself and that he is spending time working on them when he's not. These are AI generated and he's not telling anybody. A lot of you felt betrayed in the comments of the first one, and I understand that because he's deliberately choosing to not disclose that he's using AI and tricking people into supporting a quote unquote new creator. People's kindness and interests should not be exploited in this way ever at all. It takes away real Vocaloid producers' attention, especially smaller producers that actually deserve the attention for their hard work because it's authentic and human. He's taking that away. A lot of those people may give up on music due to lack of attention, and you're giving it to a guy who hasn't put a single ounce of effort into producing any of his songs. Even if he disclosed that he is using AI, he would still have fans. There are plenty of people in the comments that are like, I don't care. It sounds good to me. Thanks for showing me a new producer. Like, thanks for trying to piss me off, I guess. It doesn't really bother me because this video isn't for you. This isn't for people that don't care or think AI sounds good. This is for people that have been tricked by the AI because OKISO is lying. If you think it sounds good, fine, but think about how it got to the point where it sounds good. It has stolen thousands of songs without people's permission and fed them into a machine. Think about how much real talent had to be fed into Suno for it to be able to produce anything that sounded even slightly good. There are plenty of real people out there with real talent that you can go support. Suno will never replace that. There are infinitely more real producers out there. You just have to find them. Ultimately, I can't change your mind if you're set in it, but I can at least help you realize why AI music is not beneficial to any of us, no matter what. Without stealing all of that genuine talent and work, Suno would be nothing. It would not be able to exist. It would not be able to produce anything. Think about if you want to support the things that made it exist instead of the machine feeding off of it, because it's like a parasite without a host. Parasite needs the host to survive. If it doesn't have a host to latch onto, the parasite will die. Would you rather support the host or the parasite leeching off of it? Okay, this is a very long video. I'm sorry for everybody who got into the drama, watched my 6-minute video and thought it would be over. OKISO decided to make this a lot more difficult than it needed to be. So here we are for like, what, an hour plus at this point, discussing pretty much every aspect of it because he will find any crack and use it to continue to lie to people who don't know what we're talking about. I tried to make everything as simple as possible for people not specialized in the areas. Unlike him, he just kind of said fancy words and jargon and left the normal people to just take his word for it and be like, I don't understand those words, that means he's smart. I want everybody to understand this as clearly as possible, that OKISO has been using AI. He has been using AI to generate his original songs for a couple of years now, and I do not believe that we let him keep getting away with this because it is harmful to the community, it is harmful to the planet because it's AI. That's another video. And it is harmful to people's trust. People deserve the ability to trust new creators, and new creators deserve to be seen. Okay, so sorry for addition right at the end, but we got more screenshots of his Discord. He likes calling us purists and AI terrorists, which is a bit extreme. Also, despite him saying that he doesn't support Spotify and we should focus on Spotify using AI, he says he's thinking of making his own music with AI tools officially supported by Spotify. So he doesn't even care anymore. And then he's like, emphasis on tools. Again, I never said he didn't produce. He's just not producing the things he claims to be producing. Also, the why not accuse the actual AI slop generators? Nope, go for me because I bring in the views, lol. I accused you when you had like 16k views on Cryday and about 1,000 subscribers. So I don't know what you're talking about there. Again, with the nothing I gave will be enough proof. Hey, if you give us something to work off of in general, that'd be nice. And then he changes his argument of why he can't show the files from it mystery, personal preference, to he has consolidated his tracks into one. So apparently this whole time he couldn't have shown the original track. Why didn't he say this from the start? It's a bit late to be bringing this up for Cryday specifically. And he's planning on making a video to this, which, whatever. I don't care. This is my last video on him. If any new information comes out, it'll be updated in the pinned comment or in my posts.
Yeah, no, hi, I'm back for another round. He really likes using the R slur against us now, and that's really cool and awesome, and definitely honest people do that all the time. That's definitely not a sign of him being guilty or anything, because he's getting way too heated about it, and whatever.
But I have other things to do, and it doesn't include OKISO anymore. Anyway, I hope you have a good day. Sorry if you really wanted to believe OKISO was making his own music. I feel like a lot of people in good faith do want to believe that he's making his own music because it'd be a lot easier to accept, but fortunately it's not the case. I'm sorry. Have a good day and bye.